How's it going, everyone? As requested, I'm making an overview of my add-ons. This video will detail every single add-on I use, even if it just runs in the background to help everything function. I'll also be explaining the options each add-on has as we go along, and will include how to get your UI to look just like mine at the end of the video. Download links as well as timestamps will be in the description. So sit back and I hope you enjoy. And if you don't really care about the details, you can just skip ahead to the end after you've downloaded everything and see how to easily set everything up. If you have any questions about any of the add-ons or my settings, please feel free to comment below. And just a preface, these are going to be in alphabetical order instead of order of importance. Alright, so the first add-on down the list is Ace2. Ace2 is just an add-on development framework. It enables a bunch of add-ons that I used to work, and it just runs in the background, so nothing special about it. ArcHud is the combat HUD you see in the middle of the screen. Can be easily customized by typing /archhud config. I personally use it because it helps me track my health so I can use defensive cooldowns if I need them. It's not super necessary, but it's a nice addition. It also shows your target's health and mana, which can be useful in some cases, but I think I mainly keep it around for nostalgia purposes as it was one of the first add-ons I had back in vanilla. AtlasLoot is an incredibly useful add-on that provides you with dungeon maps as well as with what each boss drops. The drop rate value seems slightly incorrect, but otherwise this add-on is pretty handy in anyone's quest to get better loot. An icon should pop up on your minimap with the Atlas options, but if it doesn't, you can just type in /Atlas to bring it up. I find this incredibly useful for anyone who enjoys running dungeons and would recommend it to anyone. There's also a condensed version of this called AtlasLoot Enhance, which serves the same exact function in a different interface, which I've also included in the add-on pack. BetterAlign is an add-on I activate to align my add-ons. To bring up the options, just type in /BetterAlign. From there you can show a grid and add more lines to the grid. I typically just have this add-on disabled. The only time I really use it is to align new add-ons or just when I decide to make some adjustments. Bongos is the premier modular action bar add-on. With Bongos, you can add or remove action bars, increase their size, make them smaller, and alter visibility. To pull up the options, just type /bongos. From there you can move the action bars around and make them a bit easier to utilize and configure. I usually change my settings on bongos between characters, as some classes won't end up needing as many action bars as classes like a warrior. Call of Elements is a shaman only add-on. If you aren't a shaman, it won't even pop up for you. If you are, however, a shaman, just type /COE and you'll be able to utilize a totem bar similar to what's currently available in retail. This add-on is great just for the simple fact that it cleans up so much room for your bars, and I would recommend it to any shaman, whether you're Restoration, Elemental, or Enhancement. Cartographer is a pretty handy add-on that makes your minimap a bit smaller and allows you to actively move while your map is up. You can also move the map to wherever you'd like. To add to this, Cartographer also adds all mining and herbalism nodes you encounter to the map, and is shared between characters. To access the settings, just bring up your map and click the Cartographer button in the top right. Chronometer is a pretty useful add-on for many classes. What it does is track all spell effects that have a duration, so all heal over times, damage over times, minor buffs, and debuffs are tracked in a nice modifiable area. To pull up the options, just type in /chronometer and a concise options menu will come up. I personally didn't modify any settings besides the location on the screen. Chronos is another add-on that just adds some functionality to other add-ons. Just leave this one running in the background, and that's about it. CyCircled is a pretty handy action bar skinning add-on. It doesn't have much functionality, but it does make your overall UI look much more pleasant. There's no / command to bring up the options as far as I'm aware, so you'll have to click on it through your Fubar frame. From here you can change the skin of your bars, their colors, and their mouse over color. I personally use the square theme and I've added some blue coloration to it, but there are quite a few different skins you can choose from depending on your preference. DebuffTimers is pretty self-explanatory. It just shows you the remaining time on debuffs. To bring up the options, just type in /DebuffTimers and it will allow you to select which debuffs you want timers for. Personally, I just leave them all on. Keep in mind that these debuff timers are for enemies only. As far as I'm aware, they have no functionality in terms of friendly characters or yourself. EnhTooltip is supposed to give you a bit more information when you hover over your spells and abilities, but for some reason I can't get it to function. I know some people have better luck with it, so if you can get it to work, I'd recommend it, but if you have the same issue as I did, then you just scrap it. EquipCompare is another pretty self-explanatory add-on that has no options that I'm personally aware of. When you hover over any gear item, it'll compare it to what you currently have equipped. It's a little bit buggy, so you might have to move your cursor on and off the item once or twice, but otherwise it's pretty handy and mimics a feature currently in retail. Extended QuestLog is an extension to your current QuestLog. It makes information more easily available and cleans up the original QuestLog interface. In the bottom right of the QuestLog, if you have the window expanded, you can access some options which will allow you to make your quest tracker a bit more specific, as well as change up some coloration. You can also have this autocomplete quest and skip dialogue for you. Another pretty handy add-on, but not extremely necessary. Fubar is a very nice interface consolidator. As you can see at the bottom of my screen, there's a slew of useful information. What I currently have enabled is my gold, current bag slots, frame rate, and latency, some add-on functionality buttons, the time, and finally the zone I'm in with my current coordinates. If you hover over the displays, they will open up with more information such as gold totals across all characters, for example. To access the options, just right-click. If you'd like to move Fubar to the top of the screen, just click and drag. LazyPig automates many processes such as repairing, dismounting, selling to vendors, filtering chat, auto-releasing, and much more. If you want to select which things you'd like to automate, just type /LazyPig. My personal use for it is to auto-dismount and to repair and sell my grays when I visit a merchant. Now this is hotkey activated, so you'll need to press and hold shift when you have the merchant frame open. LinkMend allows you to click on links posted in chat, so if someone sends you a YouTube video, you can just click on it and just copy and paste. Luna Unit Frames is my Unit Frames add-on. I personally believe it's one of the best unit frame add-ons in vanilla. You can use it to customize and move absolutely every single frame from your party to your raid. To access the settings, just press the button that should pop up on Fubar or just type in /LUF menu. To avoid going over every single change I've made, the settings will be included in the file that I'll have uploaded and can be found at the end of the video. Some of the cool things that come with this are damage and healing ticks over the nameplate, casting bars, and a pretty nicely consolidated reputation and experience bar. Overall, a huge improvement over the base unit frames, and probably one of my favorite vanilla add-ons. Mic Scrolling Battle Text, or MSBT, greatly cleans up the in-game battle text. This add-on will give you much better information on damage and healing ticks, clean up Win Fury procs, and just make the overall aesthetic of the game much better. To access the settings, just type /MSBT, and if you'd like to change the fonts with something more custom, there will be a small tutorial at the end of the video. Mob Health 3 gives you the most accurate estimate of the current mob's health once your target takes damage. Some of you may not be aware, but in vanilla you can't see mobs' total health number, but instead only their health percentage. This pulls the values from a database and uses an algorithm to determine how much health a mob has based on how much percent damage you've dealt to it. One of the more informative add-ons here, and I actually find it difficult to play without it. MoveAnything is a pretty cool one if you like the base Blizzard interface but want to move things around. I personally only use it for my minimap, but you can move absolutely everything you see on the screen by just typing /move. OCB is what I use for my cast bar. Overall, I think it's a great replacement for the stock cast bar, and you can modify the look and location by just typing /OCBconfig. It also comes with a customizable breath and fatigue meter. This add-on is fantastic if you play casters, and I'm sure if you do, you'd want to play around with it a little bit more, but I typically play non-casting classes, so I haven't really played all too much with it. OmniCC is another handy one. It adds cooldown timers to your action bars, so if you use an ability or an item, it'll show the time until you can use it next. This is one where I haven't touched the settings at all, but if you type /OmniCC, you can change coloration as well as some other things. Personally, I think how it comes works and looks great, so I wouldn't really mess with it too much. OneBag is one of my favorites. Once you use it, you can't live without it. As the name implies, it creates one large bag instead of the 5 you usually have. This also works for your bank, and it consolidates the keyring. It also shows different colorations for bag types, such as quivers and soul shard bags, and to access the options, just bring up your bags and hit the menu button, and from there you can customize them to your heart's content. Postal is a great quality of life improvement to the mailbox. Once you have it installed, you can open all of your mails, open specific mails, and send more than one mail at a time. I'm not sure if there's an options frame, but also I'm not really sure what there would be to change. Overall, highly recommended, especially if you use the auction house a lot or have a banker alt. Prat is what I use for my chat bar. If I'm honest, I don't know too much about this one, I just know it makes things look much nicer, as well as changing the colors of the chat based on what channel you're receiving messages from. There's plenty of options in this one if you just type /Prat. Again, I'm not too familiar as most of my chat settings are through Blizzard's base UI, so if you want to see how I've set up my chat boxes, I'll have a run through towards the end of the video. Questie, I'd say, is the most useful of my add-ons in this pack. Questie is the vanilla WoW quest tracker and helper that I'm assuming is most popular. If it pertains to quests, Questie's got it. It'll show you just about every quest on the map, where to complete quests, where to turn them in, has a quest tracker as well as quest arrows, and a whole slew of options. To pull up the options, just type /Questie. It'd walk you through how I have mine set up, but honestly it's been so long that I don't remember what I have set. But the options will automatically populate if you download the file I've uploaded. And just a small tip, if you want to move the quest tracker, you need to hold Ctrl Shift and then click. If for some reason you're having any issues with Questie not tracking, or something's up with your minimap, just type /QuestieNuke and it should reset and fix it. ShaguPlates replaces the in-game nameplates that you'd normally have from pressing the V key. This is another one that I really enjoy as it's such an upgrade over the base Blizzard interface. With the nameplates, it pops up casting bars for allies and for enemies. It can be a bit buggy with enemy cast bars, but the majority of the time it's unnoticeable. And a neat little side note is this add-on is still receiving support over at shagu.org. SimpleMiniMap is a pretty handy one. It's what I use to get my minimap into a square form and at the bottom of my screen, with a little bit of help from MoveAnything. Has plenty of options, and you can disable and enable quite a few things to overall improve the look of the minimap. To bring up the options, you can either type /SMM or just left-click the minimap. From there, you can change the shape, move the map, or disable and enable parts of the minimap HUD. If you're looking for a way to ping on the minimap, SimpleMiniMap just replaces the left-click ping with the right-click ping, but you can revert this in the settings. You can also minimize the minimap if you really want to get immersed or trying to play on hardcore mode. Stubby is the last add-on that we have that just sits in the background to enable other add-ons. Again, this one doesn't really have anything going on with it, so nothing really to show you. TinyTip is another one that you can't live without once you've enabled. Essentially, TinyTip overhauls the Blizzard tooltip and makes it show up over your mouse rather than in the bottom right of the screen. It also happens to have a great skin paired with it, and if you'd like to adjust any of the settings, just type /TinyTip. You can add things such as debuffs to the tooltip, but there's not that much functionality there. Last but not least, we have Vanilla Consolidated Buff Frames, or VCB for short. VCB alters your buff and debuff bars so you can manage them much more easily as well as move them. There's plenty of useful options when you type /VCB. I personally have my debuff bar overlaid on my buff bar because the preset for buffs just comes with way too many, but if you dislike that, you can just move it over. Alright, so to set up the chat bars, I start off by creating a new window, then by moving it to the far right of the screen, or wherever you want it. I have my font size set to 12, but if you want it larger, just set it to a different size. Personally, I have my background color set to a dark blue just to match the overall theme of my UI. And I'll go ahead and scroll through both chat bars' channel settings, and you can pause and set them yourself from there. Alright, so to start things off, download the zip file I've posted in the description through Google Drive. If you don't trust me, Google Drive does an automatic virus scan, but also you can scan it yourself if you have any doubts. Once you've extracted the 3 folders, which should be a fonts folder, an add-ons folder, and an account name folder, go ahead and open up your vanilla folder. The fonts folder you can just drag and drop with the rest of the folders. The add-ons folder, you want to go ahead and open up your interface folder and just place it in there. Finally, the most important part, if you don't want your UI to look like this, open up your WTF folder. There you should see your account name. Drag and drop every folder besides server name in. Click on your server name, so in my case this would be Northdale. Now you should see your characters' names. So for example, if I wanted my character Bob to have my UI, I'd drag the saved variables, add-ons, camera settings, chat cache, and layout cache into this folder. And that's it, your UI should look just like mine. If you have any issues at all, just please comment below. This is set up for a 2560 by 1440 resolution, so what you get might look a bit different if your resolution isn't the same. And that's about it. If any of this was confusing, you need additional help, or can't get it to work, just comment below and I'll do my best to help you out. Also, thanks to everyone who requested this video, and I appreciate everyone who's subscribed. I'll catch you guys in the next video, and as always, have a great day.